Welcome everyone. This is Chikava on the Shiro Space podcast. I am extremely excited today. This is the first of a series of conversations that is going to be a regular feature on the podcast with Black women sharing their spiritual journey. I realized that I listen to a lot of cool men of lots of different ethnicities and cultures talk about the way deep end of things, but I don't have access or know of, and please tell me if there's people to check out. Hear Black women talk about our journey and beyond our journey, the things that interest us in the spiritual. And for today, let's let spiritual be the unseen as opposed to anyone's particular set of practices. Let's let it be the esoteric, the thing beyond the thing, the unmoved mover for however it is for you. So it is with profound gratitude that I welcome my first guest, Zawadi. Zawadi is a channel for an absolutely prolific, benevolent, energetic spirit entity named Zawadi. That if I name Zawadi, oh my goodness, maybe you're both. The entity goes by the name Adekemi. From my understanding, from what Adekemi told me when I talked with them, they come from the Bantu culture about 5,000 years ago. So this is a perspective that Zawadi has been called on to bring into the world that predates all the situations we find ourselves in now. So before. And Adekemi's perspective is so enriching and nourishing, and we will definitely have all the information for how you can connect with Zawadi and Adekemi in here. And let's go. Welcome, Zawadi.
Thank you so much, Chicago. I'm so happy to be here. This is amazing.
I'm very excited. And you're in New York for the summer.
Absolutely.
You've been enjoying seeing your family and running around.
Yes, New York is like one of my absolute favorite power spots. It is, the city is so alive and there's so much to channel, so much to absorb, lots of positive, vibrant energy. And so I have always returned. I was born in New York and moved away for quite some time, and happy to be back.
Yes, it gets to a part where it's nice to come suck up the juice and go live a place sometimes with a little less zizing going on. So tell me about the beginning. Like, what was life for you? When did you first kind of notice spirit or start to think about what's behind everything?
Yeah, I was born into a family of multi-nationalities. We are Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Catition, Native American. And then, of course, when we trace those roots back, we also find Scotland, Nigeria, Ghana, many spiritual traditions and people who practice, various nature-related traditional religions, or traditional spirituality, rather. And so my childhood was full of the understanding of spirit, sightings of spirits, messages, prophetic messages from grandma, great grandma, I think a lot of people are familiar, great grandma says someone's pregnant and they are, those types of childhood memories. Myself, I was amongst many children who, saw things, heard things, sensed things. And so, I remember talking to caterpillars and hearing their voices. I remember being in my imaginary world and then at times realizing that, is this real or is this my imagination? And now understanding that maybe I was going in and out of realms.
Mm-hmm.
I remember knowing answers to things that I hadn't studied and not understanding where the information was coming from. I was also, sort of terrorized in a way in my sleep life, seeing entities that chased me, having night terrors, sort of feeling like there was always someone around, both positive and negative energetic beings. And so for me, I think the understanding of spirit and the presence of spirit really started at birth. It was something that was integral to my family life. And so lucky for me, when I began channeling, voice changing, hearing voices, and seeing things, I was not. My parents did not feel the necessity to go to medication or, hospitalization. They tried to understand it from different viewpoints, and I was introduced by my father to the Ifa religion, and continued as an adult to seek in different religions, Pentecostal Christianity, chanting at ashrams. Rastafari was very integral to my understanding of spirituality. And by the time I was about 35, I had put my foot down and said, you know what, enough is enough. I need to make sense of this, and I'm not willing to, concede to any of these so-called illnesses. Although, I can't say professionally whether these illnesses exist or whether they are a manifestation of spirit, maybe both. Mm-hmm. And so I did go and get initiated in traditional African religion, and I was cared for by multiple priests and priestesses, and I was able to begin to commune with ancestral energy. And that was really the strongest beginning, I guess, the strongest force, and still is very much the strongest force in my life. Connection to ancestral energy inevitably led me to finding my spirit guide and being able to stabilize these various stimuli that were coming from the spirit realm that could at times be disruptive.
Wow. Okay. So, for everyone, will you please describe from your perspective what the Ilfa traditional African religion is?
Oh, Ifa.
Ifa, excuse me.
Ifa is a tradition that comes from Nigeria, Benin, and it is from the Yoruba people. And it is very prevalent in Brooklyn right now. And it deals with the entities of the earth, the Orisha, who are connected to different natural phenomena, the river, the ocean, the mountains, the deep woods. They are deified and personified, and we call upon these forces to balance, to heal, to give us luck sometimes, to bring blessings. And so it really agrees with me, being of Native American descent, where connection to the earth was so important in our recognition of God and God's creation, that I find a lot of parallels. And even when you go back, to Scotland and you see the Celtics and, those who also were very earth related, agriculturalist communities. It's a practice that just really agrees with me genetically. and has been a methodology that really helps to balance me, to advise me, to, I'm often cleansed and blessed by those priests. And it really has been a strong basis for my stability and balance.
Making sense of it all. So you said that when you were 35, you put your foot down. So in the progression to that phase of adulthood, did everything seem just kind of chaotic, coming in different ways, and you were looking different places? What?
Yeah. So, in my teenage life, I was having a lot of personality shifting, I guess I would call it. Being very compliant and very good and, straight A student, celebrated by my school, valedictorian, and then being very defiant and angry and, navigating a divorce, sort of sometimes escaping into the New York nightlife.
Yeah. Hey. We got to have the stories.
Pretty typical of teenagers, and it's very typical. But I guess the difference in my experience was sort of this feeling of shape shifting, this feeling of not being myself at particular times, being out late at night by myself, in a place that I didn't know, and feeling as though a male energy, had overcome me in order to make me safe. And then carrying that energy and walking through, making it home, safely, without feeling female at all.
That's really cool, because that kind of is the seeds for experiencing yourself as soul, right? Because those facets, like making use of the different facets of ourselves, that fierce part, especially. Do you relate with Ifa? How are we going to say this? The way that Ifa can overlay with the Kemetic deities. And so that male energy, like that Heru Kahuti that walked you home and made sure you got there safe, in a way, it's like our journey is to figure out how to use every aspect of the sphere to take us wherever we might be journeying for this lifetime.
Yeah, I totally believe that our unseen world is very rich and very complex, and that, each of us has, a number of beings and entities that walk with us. Sometimes from our lineage, sometimes from past life experiences, and we're able to call on them. We're able to commune with them, and utilize the resources that they provide to us, to be able to navigate, this existence.
And in Taoism, we work with the organs a lot, that 5 element stuff, and like your liver, each organ actually has multiple little personalities going on with it. That's the way. So your stomach and spleen, that's where we hold our worry, our anxiety, that ADHD. It's a yellow color, so it kind of equates to like a colicky baby, where the anger in your liver is that angry baby. The kidneys, the scared, the fight and flight. And it's so interesting because the as within and so without, it just keeps expanding. And I think what's so fun about the journey is the more you practice whatever your practice is that is sincere for you, the more that these connections become palpable. Like you question yourself, like, yeah, no, that really happened. That's happening in me. I see it right here. I see it how this person is coming at me and this is coming up and how I'm reacting. And then when you bring ancestor on top, it's so cool. I've been doing this thing. There's a beautiful Qigong set I like to do called Primordial Qigong, and you do it in every direction. So I don't know if you know, but Taoist practice is very shamanic too.
Okay.
People are always like, the Tao that can be spoke of it's not that complicated. It's basically like, it's another word for God.
Mm-hmm.
And the concept of the Tao that can't be spoken of isn't the Tao is easier to understand when you think of that. I'm not good at what book it came from in the Bible, but that closer to you than your breath, closer than your neck vein, closer than your breathing. It's that thing that's always happening with you. And when I started, I was being in very much gratitude for my relationship. And I thought about my parents. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this set to spark everybody's initial moment of falling in love. My parents falling in love, their parents falling in love, and so on and so on and so on and so on.
Wow.
Well, because, it's all so rich and sweet. And then, like, my maternal grandmother, next thing you know, you got 9 kids. You know what I mean? And I did this, and it felt delicious. And that night, I had a dream about essentially my college parents. My dear best friend, her parents, Mr. Duplessis was my scuba dive coach. Mrs. Duplessis was the first person in my life that said, it's okay that you're an artist. It's okay that everybody thinks you're like this weird spiritual thing, and helped me like shape myself. Self-accept, and like, here's everybody else here's your tribe. Here's like all these people are like that too. And so in my dream, they were like, well, we birthed you too. And I'm like, oh, so I had to go do the set just for them, because I didn't pull them in with everybody else. And it made so much sense too, because them and their parenting in that college part was so much more advising than a finger wagging.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I always feel like our family is so huge. Like, we focus so much on the nuclear family, but we're all interconnected, even genetically. We have so many cousins and so many aunties and uncles. Yes. And then when you start looking at the kindred spirit, family, community, and those who are just connected by vibration, we just get love from every direction.
It really is coming from everywhere.
As long as you're willing to receive it, as long as you're not so stuck, like, sometimes we get stuck. I need to fix my relationship, with my mother. Or I need to fix my relationship. And sometimes when you accept, that some things are meant to sever, and it makes an opening, for sometimes a new mother, a new father to enter and give you, that peace that you're missing. And that's always amazing to me, because, love is an entity. It's a free-flowing energy that's everywhere. And so what's so powerful about that, Qigong ceremony that you did for yourself is that you have really gone back to reach that entity that existed in your lineage, from generation to generation, and acknowledge it and bring it forward into your life. And I believe that you will see amazing results, because what we often forget is that we're not nurturing a relationship with the physical individual that we're in love with. We really have to acknowledge the relationship with the entity of love itself.
Girl, the entity of love itself. Girl, I've been thinking lately and using the word I've been a little uncomfortable with the word love, because it's so commonplace in language and, thrown around. I'm like, love is, but the thing that we mean by love is so much more than this word. And nobody has ever put it to me as an entity. Yeah,
a living, moving energy that comes to visit us and
Every
join us.
moment.
And from so many different directions, I mean, you can stop to pet someone's dog and you'll feel the love, and
Yeah.
you may not see that dog again, but that moment that dog showed you love is a precious moment. You may have your best friend, who you call, from time to time. And, there is an energy that comes between you that is precious. And I think that in this society, we have sort of been fed this sort of romanticism for, sexual romantic love, making it the highest thing to attain in this society. And I think that has put us out of balance, because when we celebrate love from every direction, from every area where that entity visits, our life is so much richer. It's so much more balanced, and we can, really become more healthy in our relationship with love itself.
With love itself and with ourselves, because then love is everywhere. You feel like then you trust love to be there, and you trusting in love yourself. I've been playing with that concept because with my romantic partner, and I'm like, this is so sweet. Like, I take that energy and I think about it like a stick of butter or whatever. I'm like, just spread it over the whole loaf. Don't like it. It is, and I wish for everyone the joyful relationship, because yes, it is. It's a beautiful thing to get to hold somebody and share all the ups and downs and connect intellectually, physically, all that stuff. And whatever that is at essence, to spread it. Like, because just if it exists with me and my man, then it must exist everywhere in my reality.
Everywhere. And the key to the practice of communing with love is to recognize and celebrate every moment that you feel it. When your neighbor, tells you, you look so beautiful. You look so beautiful today. I'm so happy to see you. Yeah. Then you internalize that and you celebrate, wow, I just received, a message from love. When you go to work and your favorite coworker, not the one who drives you insane, your favorite coworker, comes and says, wow, you did such a good job yesterday. Wow, you're really growing. I can see, how well you did, to internalize that and then say, wow, I just received a message from love. Because when we accept that each of us channels, at various times, because we are all innately spiritual beings, then when people show love, they're also sometimes channeling love. And you can feel it, when it's genuine, when it's an energy, when you hug someone and you just feel something pulse through your body and you just feel like,
yeah,
and you can't even let go, that's when I know the entity is here, and it's going between us. And it can be sexual or it can be not sexual. It is just a divine moment. And so, the practice of pulling that relationship closer to you, the relationship with the love itself, the key to it is really internalizing those moments, opening to them and accepting them and celebrating them as equally important to all of the love that you receive during every day.
Wow. So this thing about receptivity, it's, to me, I know people like to ungender and it's so important for women, and it is impossible to do. It can only be. You can only be in receptive. This is what I've been noticing for myself. And we have to, and there's beautiful, it's a beautiful time in that we can go out there and be as ambitious. We can use all facets of ourselves.
Yes.
And there's this really cool thing that also happens when we're in our innate magnetism. So this receptivity to love, what has your journey to moving and living in that been like? Because I know just by virtue, I like to say it's a woman's earth, but it's a man's world, you know? So by virtue of that, we've all had to make a journey, or if we choose to make a journey into receptivity and figuring it out. Like for me, a lot, it's literally this week, it's literally asking my brain to stop doing the whole verbal thing. Like,
Yes, yes, that is a challenge. And I just want to say the man's world is a facade because we always know that there's a woman.
that's why it's a woman's earth,
somewhere.
but it's a man's
And
world.
The masculine, feminine
Yes.
is like in all of us.
Because
And
the
so
women of earth are holding up this man's world.
there's a partnership that is so divine. And I'm so proud of the brothers that I've met that have begun to understand the necessity of a partnership, of mutual respect, of understanding the positive aspect of masculinity and femininity that exist in each being.
Yes.
And beginning to match up. You know, what does your masculine do for my feminine?
Yes.
You know, and what does my feminine do for your masculine?
And what does your masculine give my feminine? No, really.
Yes, give the feminine.
Give.
Feed
And
the
what-
feminine,
yeah,
the
and-
divine feminine.
And what does my feminine give your masculine? It's a real, I experience it,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes it's like when my fella is going through challenges and we're together, I do say to myself, you know what? I can transmute everything he's going through. There is, and it's a conscious thing you need to do, because we do pick up everything and hold on to everything. You know, if that's part of why I love what I share with people in clearing out the stuff, so you can be the vessel the vessel that holds and the vessel that moves things on through.
Yes, women are magical. We are absolutely magical beings who hold a womb that God visits to create life, a womb that connects to the moon and the cycles of the earth. Our intuition is just so powerful, and our connection to spirit is really, I think, unmatched. And I think that the more that we sort of sit in our own power and begin to reject, some of the messages that the world gives us,
Yes.
even encouraging us to be powerful in a masculine way and negate the power of the feminine, to not accept ourselves, as a whole being, but to compartmentalize ourselves and, value maybe our, physical beauty over, our spirituality.
Our intellect
Yes, absolutely.
or our expression.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's we as women begin to become whole and become healthy in any society, you just naturally see the society flourish.
Yes. So, do you feel like you took a journey to sit on the throne of your receptivity, or do you feel like you've always kind of been there? Or what's that been like for you?
Yeah, I think that everyone wants to be normal, right? Everyone
Air quotes on the normal.
I wanted to be a Cosby kid, right? I wanted to sort of live a very standard, normal life. And I did spend a lot of time sort of ignoring the things that were happening and trying to mask them, not show, it took forever for me to just one day say, I'm a medium. And I was so blessed. Spirit always comes through. And I was so blessed to receive like a community of allies, a clinical psychologist, Dr. Smith. He's been with me from the time, of my transformation into mediumship.
Right, because this is the ultimate in receptivity.
Yeah.
This is not just you have kids too, so the receptivity of your womb. This isn't just the receptivity of loving another person in partnership. This is like the receptivity of your mental functionality, being able, that's not what Spirit's been doing with me. What the
I would beg to differ.
Yes, but in your way, yeah, I mean, yes, Spirit.
You may not be aware of it, but there
Whoa,
are several different sides to Chikava.
Yeah,
And we can see her on different days and see many different people.
But that moment of there is, I conjecture that as a median who shares this work and gift with the world, the moment had to come where you said, yes, you can be here. I'll share my consciousness with you.
Absolutely. I was actually in a church at the time, and I heard a voice that said, "This is not your religion." And I said, "Oh, wow. Okay. What is my religion?" And they said, "Ancestor." And so I went home and I created my ancestor shrine in my closet. And I just put a big table in there, a white cloth, 9 candles, some crystals, some water. And I went for 3 months every day. And I just kept pleading with them. I need a teacher. I need a teacher. Please send me a teacher. I feel so lost. I don't know where to go. I need a teacher. And I just went every day. And sometimes I would hear nothing, and other times I would hear different people talking. And then finally, after 3 months of praying, the guide appeared before me and I saw his face. And his face just kind of came, sort of like in a circular motion. And the face appeared and he said, he told me his name. His name was a different name at the time, because he has changed names multiple times. And he said, I'm here. Do you want to work with me? And I said, yes. And I'm not sure why I said yes, because a lot of people said they would have been afraid. And how did I know who that was? But there's something that you feel, in your gut.
Yeah.
When you're supposed to be connected to someone. And I just felt that in my gut, like, this is good. And he said, okay, I have 7 others with me. And each spirit came forward one by one to present themselves. And we made an agreement. And my aunt was downstairs. And I went downstairs and I said, Titi, the spirits want to talk to you. And she looked at me like, what? And she followed me upstairs, like, a little hesitant. And she went in the closet with me. And she sat down in my closet. And I read her in his voice. And I came back and her eyes were wide open. And she said, oh, my gosh, how do you know all of that about me? And that's when I realized, wow, this is real. This is, really an entity. This is not, there's no way that I would know my aunt's life story. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there was a moment where I had to open myself and accept, verbally to make an agreement with the entity, and then also open my spirit to allow him, or them rather, because I believe it is a collective still, to enter me and channel for my aunt. Mm-hmm. And
now, do you remember what you say when you're working with people that way, or?
It varies. Mm-hmm. I was quite upset one time when we did a reading for my daughter, and I couldn't recall anything.
They're like, privacy.
Right. Like, oh, man. But there have been times when I have done a reading for someone who was on a similar path in a similar situation to myself, mm-hmm. and I recalled everything. So I think that there is an intentionality with the spirits.
A need-to-know basis.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, a lot of times privacy is protected. But when it's something that can benefit me as well, then it is shared.
Yeah. And I think that must be good because, wow, you have a tremendous community of people that you work with.
Yeah.
It would be a bit much You know what I mean? You would be like down to knowing somebody's grocery list that you talked to 6 months ago. That would it's
Yeah, it
oh,
does. It does sometimes get overwhelming because I do believe in building community, and I
mm-hmm,
do sometimes forge relationships and connections with people who we are reading. And so there are conversations before, conversations
mm-hmm,
after, and I have come in contact with some issues that were overwhelming for me. That
mm-hmm.
because what we find, especially in the African diasporic community, is that people don't like mental health practitioners. And we're starting to sort of, get more comfortable with them as time goes on. And I speak at the Association of Black Psychologists every year. And so, I'm seeing, this booming population of psychologists that are just, in our community everywhere. And they're absolutely fabulous. But what I find is that a lot of people prefer to go to mystics. They prefer
Mm-hmm.
to get a reading. They prefer to find a psychic as opposed to going to see, a mental health practitioner. And so, oftentimes I get people who are in need of long-term therapy,
Right.
who are struggling with trauma, who have clinical depression. They're in some kind of a custody battle that's just heart wrenching. And I have to sometimes say, this is not my lane,
Right. Well, and
and
it's like
refer
you
them
can
out.
kind of bring things up to awareness and help anchor the concept that, yeah, you chose this as part of your journey and talk to somebody every week
Yeah.
to get through, to
And
plod
to
through.
admit, to be humble and admit that I'm not equipped. I'm not going to take your money. I'm not going to consult with you because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not equipped to help you, to get the best care for you. And so I do have a network of IFA practitioners, priests and priestesses, psychologists,
Reiki
acupuncturists,
masters.
Reiki masters, massage therapists. I send people if they come to me and I realize, okay, you need an energy clearing, and I don't do
Mm-hmm.
energy clearings. And so let's take this money and put it somewhere where you can get the best care.
Mm-hmm. Well, it stands to reason. You can't heal it if you can't see it, right? So someone can come to you and help it be known and sourced, but they're going to be coming to you what? They're going to be 20 years old, 30 years old, 40, 50, da 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 da. You can't fix that in a one session. Right? Well, you can't be somebody's magic bullet.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like you opened the door to the next phase of their healing, and we still get to do it ourselves.
Yeah. And inevitably, every issue has a physical, spiritual, mental element to it, right? But some things need to be addressed mentally first,
Mm-hmm.
before we delve into the spiritual. If we have
Yes.
someone who has suicidal ideation and they're deeply, severely depressed and, they are constantly mentally attacking themselves in their mind, they may need, 3 therapy sessions a week,
Right.
to reprogram their mind and to get to the root of this issue before they come, to us to find out, what do my ancestors
Get
have to
their
say
circuits
with me?
blown.
Yeah, where does my life path lead?
Mm-hmm.
What are my past lives? What deity walks with me? Who are my spirit guides? They want to know those things. We can tell them those things. Where's my grandmother who passed away 5 years ago? What's she doing now? We
Mm-hmm.
have access to that information, which has been extremely helpful to people. But I just believe that if you truly love people, if you truly care about them and you want to see them blossom and heal and be inspired and grow and live their best life, then you have to be honest in sort of knowing what they truly need and whether that is you
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
another person who has a different gift.
And so for you, is that like a gauge, like somebody books and then you talk to them for a few minutes and you're like, it's not time for me yet?
Yeah, so I work very closely with my ancestors, and I do hear their messages.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will just, in the first session, when someone joins, I will hear it, that no, this is not going to happen. And usually the phone call will drop multiple times. The appointment will have to be rescheduled multiple times. Maybe the person calls suddenly and says, I don't have the money anymore. I thought I had it. Something will happen that sort of, something weird is happening
Sends
here.
it left.
Yeah. And so then I would divine using my shells to say, should I read this person? Do they need me? Do they need, a psychologist? Should I send them to Dr. Smith? Should I send them to another therapist in my network? Should I send them to a Reiki practitioner? Do they need Ifa? What do they need? And then, I would direct them appropriately.
Wow. So in this becoming, you've had to expand and shape your spiritual practices. Wow.
Because you cannot heal other people if you are not consistently healing yourself.
Mm-hmm. How do you take good care of yourself?
I am a water baby, and my family, every line of my family comes from an island. Even the African American line comes from
even the Scottish.
Yeah, the Scottish, and we come from the Isle of Skye, and the African American line comes from the Gullah Islands, Charles Island, and then we have Puerto Rican, Jamaican. So I'm a water baby. I'm an ocean, deep ocean baby. And so I commune with the water in the shower, the sacred water, multiple times a day. I've been known to take 3 or 4 baths. I'm praying in the shower. I'm using crystals in the shower. I am asking the water to fortify me, strengthen me, cleanse me, and keep me balanced. I also get Reiki cleansing once a month at least, in order to make sure that my energy is, on a balanced frequency.
Somebody got to run in. Somebody got to roll up in here and run the vacuum. Amazing. Oh gosh, there's just so many things.
And then I also do Ori work, which is where the Ifa priestesses will clean your head. And sometimes they have to bathe me with sacred herbs, like whole body bathing, to clean off the residue of other people's energy and just the world's energy.
Yes.
Because oftentimes when you are a channel, you're also empathic. And so the energy of the world does affect me quite immensely.
So when you roll out each day, do you have a practice, like you shield yourself up, or do you?
I used to have to do a lot. Ifa has been a practice that has given me so much protection that I don't have to do as much anymore. But oftentimes I will find myself, so I have clothes that are for the house and clothes that are for outside. And I cannot wear the outside clothes into the bed. And my bed sheets have to be white. And when I come into the house, I often, strip, get in the shower. You kind of have get in the shower, put on the house clothes.
COVID protocols just for energy. No energetic COVID in the house.
We mop the floor with holy water. We burn sage in the house. So the house has to be sort of a sacred space.
Sanctuary.
And so, those things are really, really crucial for me. And if I don't do them, I feel itchy. I feel off balance. I can feel like my mood swings, like something is, wrong. I can feel like there's a presence in the room. Something has followed me from outside. And so, these things, like I have to do them, and praying as I mop, to make sure that the house is protected.
Beautiful. Now, where do I want to go? I want to talk about the, for the word that, lack of a better word, the network that you tap into. Do you think of it as like the Akashic record? Do you have a name for it? Or do you, yeah, how do you conceptualize what, where Adekemi and the crew are coming from? Like, how do you see it as it fits into the cosmology of everything?
I believe that each of us has like a series or a council of ancestors and spirit guides, and I think that the ancestors are connected to us, you know, genetically, and the spirit guides sometimes are beings that decided they liked us, right? Because we have a kindred life path with them, and so
Mm-hmm.
they want to help us with the work we're doing, or they knew us from a past life and they vowed to us, and so they stay with us, you know, to give protection because they, you know, out of love. Um, and I think that the spirits that I walk with, some of them are from our past life acquaintances. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that my guide Adekemi is a past life acquaintance, and others have come along with him. You know, are devoted to him, but I think that my ancestors are the most powerful force that I walk with, and I think that the Orisha also are a force to be reckoned with um, in in the council. And so I'm not completely clear of what the pecking order is, or if there is a
Right.
pecking order, but I know that all of these elements have to work together, you know, in order for it to be a functional.
Cosmogony.
Yeah.
I think it's not a pecking order either, because I, 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 I think I experience it the way that you're speaking in terms of with ancestors and kindreds. There's a personality, like there's a personhood that relates and connects. So if everybody is existing in simultaneously, whether you're in a body or not, or and perhaps Adekemi is in a body
Yeah,
on
it's
a.
sitting right over there.
Oh, is it? Oh, right. I thought that I felt that. Okay, I did. But maybe he's got a body chilling somewhere on a really cute planet, and because that simultaneity of everything existing at once, right?
Hmm.
So there's us that are kind of doing the soul peopling of it all, but we're still sitting in some kind of force of air, standing on some kind of form of earth. Like that's kind of how I see Orisha or Nturu. Like
Hmm.
those forces are still there's always fire.
Hmm.
Something sparking something. Air is happening, gas is happening. So and I wonder, I've never had this thought before, but in the human need to anthropomorphize gods, I wonder if that might have started with ancestral energy kind of showing up in like a forceful, fiery way. You're like, oh, that must be da 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 da.
Hmm.
Because the brain just so wants to be like, this is that. This is that just really wants to lock it into something.
Yeah, I think that you know, when we really think about the fact that none of us is solid, that we're all energy moving,
Mm-hmm.
and that the whole world, the whole universe is like energy moving, then there is the alchemy of, you know, forming energy into a personified mold.
Right.
And there is, you know, the going between realms, and, you know, the question of, you know, is this, you know, body that I consider to be solid my body, or is my spirit body my body?
Right. The
And
consciousness is the
yeah,
is the
like
only
which one
solid
is,
thing. Like
uh-huh.
the consciousness made the body. And I wonder if it's kind of like the something doesn't exist if it isn't seen. So the forces of the universe, if there's no consciousness to behold and experience them, do they happen? Is it like that? It's that super big yin yang.
Yeah, that's kind of like, the universal consciousness that is God, right? Like,
Yes.
it's like everything is seen, everything is felt, because we're all part of that collective energy that's manifesting and forming in different places in different ways, and taking form. And all of it is conscious, and all of it is connected, and all of it is seen all at once.
Right. All is
at
seen
the
and all
same
unseen.
time.
And we're just flipping channels on the TV, picking what to focus on for, 40, 80 years, give or take. Right. Well, and I think, that is, talking about the moment in the world that we're in. We have all these people locked into morphic fields around Abrahamic religions, the desert religions.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna and I'm so excited to be with a woman I can talk to this about. Well, because salvationism breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Because and I think it is often a mechanism of the control structure, because salvationism will always have you not be enough. And for everybody out there who is going to just begin to know me since it's my first interview, by salvationism, I do mean Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, with all due respect to whatever path you're on. But I believe there's no need for anybody to save anybody. I think we're all doing the walk we're supposed to do in our own good time. And how, So for me, my wish for us is to become sovereign in our consciousness and know that we're welcome, pretty much, we're welcome in the universe. And that's part of why, that's why Taoism, I think, stuck, because it gave me this spiritual physiology to lock into and a distinct focus on why are you practicing every day? You're practicing every day. And Ifa would say to grow my relationship with my Ori. So that in the moment of my transition, my Ori, the self, in Tao, we would call it the immortal fetus.
Okay.
So that when I make the transition out of here, my person's like, okay, what we wearing? Where we going? You know what I mean? And it's just been, it was beautiful. In Renee Kimberly Smith's solstice this year, she had a beautiful brother give a lecture sermon anointing on Ori, and I had just finished a couple weeks with my Taoist teacher Mantak Chia was here, and so I had been deep in the physiology of, we call it our crystal palace, in that tradition it's called that, and then I get this like deep personification. Like, yes, that's how it works. I know how to work it. I know how to get there. And then this brother comes in and he gives me the personhood of it all. Within, I was like, wow. Well, that's like, I say choose the spiritual path that feels like a never-ending video game.
Absolutely. That's absolutely what I think. I think that there's a space in the world for every spiritual tradition. And I think what we forget is that spirit is living, it's moving, it's evolving. And so ultimately, when we choose a tradition, it is the people who are practicing it that shape the direction that the tradition goes in. And unfortunately, with the Abrahamic traditions, they have been used for colonization. They have been used to conquer. They have been used to solidify civilizations. And so, the challenge is to find God, in that space, and to reject any scripture or any, message that is trying to colonize or civilize or contain your spirit. And I think there are those who practice multiple different traditions. I've run into so many beautiful, beautiful souls in so many traditions, and it really is your relationship with God that matters most of all.
Right. Yeah, I'm just against any intercessory. Anybody thinking that you got to talk to somebody to talk to the entity, to the thing.
Right, and that is a colonization
Yeah,
mindset.
it is. It
and
is.
So when you choose your teacher, whether you find a spirit like I found,
right,
or whether you choose a human teacher, you have to really check them out and see like what is this person's intention. Are they
how's it calibrating over there?
Yeah, where is the vice? Is it power? Is this person a perv? Are they? Because we run into those quite often, right?
Oh my goodness.
Is it greed? Is this person greedy? Like just go through all the vices and try to see, what is this person's angle on this tradition that they're teaching me. And just make sure that you're aligned, with
it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm glad you brought that up because I'd had a flashback to the 90s in my 20s and work in investigating different traditions around town and having to cut that investigation off because even that, even, your 20s, you want your attention a lot, although you want it a little bit more, but seriously?
Yeah.
And so just shout out to sisters who have experienced that. You must have a space where your soul gets to unfurl with anybody up in your grill.
Yeah. I'm in a space now where I primarily learn from women. I made that decision a couple of years ago, and I just got tired of having to navigate, the
man's world that was sitting on the woman's earth.
Yeah. The desire for power over women.
Yes,
and I think there are men who are still teachers for me, but oftentimes. Their wife is instrumental in that teaching, because I just started to feel like, okay, if I'm going to, feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable in my spirit, then I have to know I'm safe. And so that was sort of a boundary that I started to create, that I'm looking for women who can heal me, who can help me, who can advise me.
Share in the healing process.
And if it's a male-female partnership, fine, but she will be my primary connection.
Right. Well, and in a certain way, you can gauge the caliber of the guy by the happiness of the lady.
Yeah.
And how her healthy happiness in there. Yeah. And I think it's a new ever emerging sovereignty with women that we're Gen X gals and we are less male referential than generations before us. But we were still, about that gaze.
Yes.
We were raised to be about that gaze, and it's a really big deal. Like, you remember when you would you'd go out and maybe you thought there would be some dudes there, and it was like a whole bunch of chicks. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, oh, God, I can't believe I spent all this time. But now it's like, oh, yeah. we gonna unfurl in here, we are becoming increasingly self-validating and self-referential.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's super.
Mm-hmm.
It's super powerful for us.
Yeah, there was something that happened at 50 where my mother told me, she said, wait till you turn 50. You're just not going to care anymore.
The air is great up here. That's what I like to say. The air, it is. It's great. And I think, and it, if only it was guaranteed with the chronological number, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think, because I want you to not care anymore in the best way. I don't want you to give up.
Well, yeah, and ultimately it's really about, again, that relationship with love, So if you enter, an event and it's all women, you should not say, oh, man, there's love there for you. There's somebody who wants to dance with you. There's someone who wants to
Nobody's
buy
going
you
to
a
appreciate
drink,
your outfit more.
Nobody's. There's outfits. There's beautiful outfits to inspire you. Somebody's going to catch the vibe of the song that's playing along with you. And so the more that we sort of just appreciate the love that happens between women, and even between women and men, and same-sex partners, just the love itself. The more we realize that, we appreciate it, we tap into it, we celebrate it everywhere, the better all of our relationships become.
Yes. Because it turns into a walking celebration.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I love this. I'm going to hold this very close to this idea, the love as an entity to move around in, with, and be about. Ooh, wow. So, I think I want to ask you like a big fat macro question,
Oh, no.
and then I'll wrap it up with a little.
Should I be afraid?
No, I wonder. Here we are. We're on the precipice of this a new president that is gonna look like us, and a world that is consistently on fire, but the dumpster fire seems to. Who knew it could get bigger? How is it? How is it for you? Seeing like with all the energies that you coalesce, and yeah, what do you see in the world? What do you see happening? How do you think that this is all gonna go? And I don't mean like election wise, but like the cipher that we're moving into.
I see more of the same. I am not. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I think that the world has been good and evil from the beginning of time, and sort of a yin-yang balance that's continuous. And I think that at any given moment, the media, social media, the news draws our attention to either the good or the evil. And inevitably, in this society that we live in, and really across the world, the evil is really feels much bigger, much greater, much more focused on, and so I sort of reject the analysis or the feeling that we are in a time that is different from other times.
I love that. Yeah.
I think that in other times we didn't have awareness of everything that was happening.
Right.
I think that we have to acknowledge that there have been, unfortunately, multiple genocides throughout the beginning, from the beginning of time. There have been also multiple beautiful births of children, and healthy societies and communities that have existed from the beginning of time. I think that there are philosophies and traditions that are getting stronger and growing and healing people simultaneously as people are being bombed and murdered. I think that, the the universe is very complex, and we have to constantly be aware of our perspective of what is happening, and always fight evil, always protest, always demonstrate, always, rally for good to be in balance. But I refuse to internalize the perspective that this evil is worse than all the evils we've ever seen before.
Right. But in accordance with the progression of the Mayan calendar, things are quite a bit better. You know, like there's less random, and now even I think what nags me about now is how very manufactured a lot of it is. And that would be like a deep political cipher if I went into what I think
corruption in the name of democracy.
Yeah, corruption in the name of democracy. Who is who in the progression of time when we talk about these land rights. And I do see people, and I love it. And there's so many of my friends have this beautiful child still in them that does believe that there was a right in the world, and that there's this happy ending that we're going to get to. That there's a Pollyanna that's still alive and kicking, that thinks that everything will get rinsed away and it'll all be okay. And there's a better, and I think that there's a spiral upward. But I do think we are in an eternal dance, and I wonder often if it's the religions that people choose that kind of protect them and make them think, when you die, you'll go to heaven, everything will be fine. It's just you just got to get through this whole century.
Yeah, I reject that. I think let's have happy endings every day. Let's celebrate life as we live it. Let's enjoy the battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's recognize that every experience in life is a different element, and to be alive is delicious. Even to be in pain, has a space in our life. Every spectrum of emotion, every experience that we experience is to be alive, and that is our happy ending. That is
right to taste it all.
Yeah, it's all your perspective.
Yeah. Well, then that you chose to be here, I think that to me is the thing that gets taken away from people in salvationism, that soul concept, like you chose everything. Because when you are in that space, it also means, I can handle it then. Like I wrote this whole story. This is my mission impossible. I can handle it. I chose all of this, and what you reject, what you accept, and you can shift, change, and morph everything. But it's so disempowering to think everything is just on a happening to you.
Exhale.
Oh my God, I could go forever. Let me tell you all. I've never talking to Zawadi on the phone for less than 45 minutes. So, yeah, I knew, but I am so grateful. We're gonna cool it, wind it on down. Do I have? I'm trying to think, like, if I have a tradition that wants to come up for like a closing question. What is your wish for every Sister Shiro out there?
Wow. My wish for every Sister Shiro is that you love and care for yourself more then you love and care for all of those that you serve. I think that we forget that we have to put the oxygen on ourselves before we put the oxygen on others.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have been in this martyr space for so long, either forced or chosen, that we are oftentimes not our best self for ourselves. And we forget that we are somebody's baby. And I wish for every sister Shiro to look at herself in the mirror and say to herself every morning, "You're my baby. I love you." And to move with that energy so that the care that you provide to others, the support you provide to others, the life vest that we often are for others is sustainable and can continue without us sacrificing our own sanity.
And well-being and juicy, juicy dreams.
How about those juicy dreams?
Juicy dreams. Thank you so much, Zawadi.
You're so welcome.
And everybody unseen in the room, Adekemi and co, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for starting the Shiro Space podcast with me.
Awesome.
Have a brilliant day. Okay.
Thank you. I love you.